मैच होगा। अर्थ का सैटेलाइट वो आपको आपने कैसे डायरेक्शन दिया होगा, कैसे मोशन दिया होगा, उस पर डिपेंड करेगा। और ये हर बार जरूरी नहीं है कि आपका अर्थ का स्पीड के साथ वो मैच करे।
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just wait 2 more minutes, then we'll start. Okay, I think let's start. Let me share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. See, I was going through the recording, last lecture recording. So I think, yeah, someone asked, I don't remember who, can we create PN junction with a single gate? Somehow I think I was mistakenly took it as two gates. Okay. So I also mentioned that you need always two gates. Okay. So I want to clarify that with a single gate, it is not possible at all. You cannot create a PN junction with a single gate. Okay. So I stress that we always need two gates. You always need two gates if you want to create PN junction. Because if you have a single gate, then you can change the Fermi level. You can dope it N or P, but you can't create a junction. So you need both gates actually, back gate, which is called the global gate, and a top gate, which is a local gate. So you can create PN junction only if you have a minimum of two gates. I hope this is clear. Okay, with a single gate, you can't create a PN junction. So in all the experimental studies, which I will share, you will see that two gates are required. So in most of the cases, it is back gate, which is naturally obtained by transferring graphene on or any other 2D materials on silicon dioxide. And then you make a top gate. Okay, you make a top gate lithographically. And then you can have this top gate and back gate configuration. I hope this is clear. So let me continue from where I have stopped. So we stopped here. We said in graphene there is no backscattering because actually the helicity in graphene, helicity of the particles in graphene is actually connected to the spin or pseudo spin and the momentum direction. So if up spin, for example, up pseudo spin is moving towards the right direction, then we say the helicity operator or helicity eigenvalue is +1, or if it is the opposite, okay, then we say it is -1. But that is possible only in the other valley. All right. So this is the origin of, because the Hamiltonian has sigma dot k. The Hamiltonian has sigma dot k. Okay. So if you want to backscatter, so then you have to reverse the momentum wave vector. So this wave vector you have to reverse. If you assume that the electron is backscattered, then its momentum is -k. So then according to this, the helicity operator or helicity eigenvalue, this has to be conserved. So then the pseudo spin has to reverse, has to be -sigma. All right, because we have a term in the Hamiltonian that is sigma dot k, so which is nothing but it is actually related to the helicity operator. We also said in the case of single layer graphene, this helicity operator commutes with the Hamiltonian. That means if you take a commutation relationship, H, capital H, H, that is equal to small h, capital H. Okay, so we say they commute. So that is why we say in graphene, because of this hexagonal symmetry, we have a case where there is no backscattering. So the consequence is that in the case of graphene, there is no weak localization. If somebody understand this, is fine. But if you have read somewhere that graphene exhibits weak anti-localization. So weak localization means electrons can be localized by quantum interference effect. A forward moving electron can be backscattered and it can interfere with the forward moving electron or a particle. So that interference gives an increase in resistance. So this is what we call the weak localization. Okay, it's not a disorder, but it is a quantum phenomenon, because the waves, the quantum mechanics says electrons are behaving like waves. So the waves can interfere. The forward moving electron and backward moving electron can interfere, and it can cause an increase in resistance. The electron motion along the forward direction is affected. So they are localized. So this is a quantum mechanical, this has quantum mechanical origin. So we say that they are weakly localized. But now, because there is no backscattering, there is no weak localization. We say that weak anti-localization there. Okay, instead of an increase in resistance, there will be a decrease in resistance with respect to external magnetic field. Okay, you have to have some external parameters. So we can actually test this. Graphene actually exhibits weak anti-localization. We can test this experimentally. Okay, I'm not going to the details, but experimentally you can show that graphene, particles in graphene exhibits weak anti-localization. So whenever you might have heard of topological insulators, the same situation. So there also you have no backscattering. Quantum Hall effect, no backscattering. So these are some of the phenomenon, some of the effects where you can see the absence of backscattering. In all the cases, you can see weak anti-localization. So now we continue. So we have had several terms: group velocity, current density. This is current, not current density, current. So I think, yeah, I think I made a small difference in the definition. So these are all current actually, okay, not current density. So in our definition of, for example, here, so if you just have electric current, then this is fine actually, this definition. But if it is current density, then you need to have the concentration also. But for just current, this is fine. Okay. So now we are going to the sharp step. So we are considering electrons which are incident on a sharp potential, square potential step. Okay, and this is the height. So this height is actually V0 along the y direction. There is a height V0, and the electrons are incident from the left, and its energy. So we say its energy is nothing but alpha h cross modulus of kf, which is greater than 0. So which is actually greater than 0. Okay, that means our alpha is actually +1. So we assume that electrons with an energy which is positive. So now this region, this zone 1 region, is free of potentials. So it has only kinetic energy. So there is no potential energy in zone 1. And we say it is incident at an angle phi. Okay, and this is the phi, which is actually the angle with respect to normal to the interface. So we can have phi this way or this way. Okay, now the electron is incident at an oblique angle phi with respect to the normal. So now in zone 2, we consider a potential V0. So V0 is the potential in zone 2. So now obviously the net energy will be net kinetic energy. So that kinetic energy will be E minus V0. So in zone 1, the kinetic energy is E, whereas in zone 2, the kinetic energy is E minus V0. Okay. So this is what we define two zones. So in zone 1, which is actually towards the left, means x is smaller than 0. So this is my origin. So I consider whatever the positions left, x less than 0 as zone 1, and towards the right for positive x, I consider this as zone 2. Okay, so I have a potential step, not a barrier, it is just a potential step. So now we will see what is the magnitude of V0. I mean, depending upon the magnitude of E minus V0, it can either take positive or it can take negative. Suppose if V0 is much larger than E, then this will take a negative value. Okay, but if your energy is much higher than or comparable to V0, then this will be a positive value. Okay, so first what we will consider is those energies which have E smaller than V0. Okay, so let's say from the definition of energy, we can easily say that in zone 1, our alpha is +1 because energy is positive. We only have kinetic energy. There is no potential energy. So we only have the particle is, the electron is free. It's a free electron, which is incident from the left. And we say this is the band index alpha is +1 in zone 1. So now in zone 2, I mentioned that depending upon the magnitude of incident energy, whether it is comparable to V0 or is much smaller, so it can have different signs for alpha. So either it can be greater than or smaller than V0. Okay, so now depending upon the magnitude of energy with respect to V0, it can take +1 or -1. So when I say sign of E minus V0 means the sign larger or smaller. The sign is either +1 or -1. So you can take these two values. Okay. So now let's understand further. Let's try to see what is the wave vector of the electron. So we are considering electron. So now let's see what is the wave vector along the x direction and along the y direction, because we are considering a two-dimensional system. But we are now very sure that it is actually boiled down to one-dimensional system, because we consider systems where the y direction has translational invariance, both spatial and time. So this actually leads to conservation of energy and conservation of momentum, and we say ky is conserved. The momentum along the y direction is conserved. So we are only worried about the current along the x direction. So we say the one-dimensional current is conserved, and we are interested in the one-dimensional current. Nevertheless, this conservation of ky actually helps, because we don't have to use the first derivative of the wave functions. We can simply use the conservation principles and the boundary conditions of the wave function at x equal to 0 here, that you are very familiar with. In quantum tunneling, we normally use the boundary conditions at the interface. One condition is that the wave function has to be continuous at the interface and also the first derivative. So these two conditions, these are actually the properties of wave function. So we use this condition to get the amplitudes, the coefficients of the wave function in these regions. Okay, but here fortunately because of the conservations, because we often talk about conservation here because that actually simplifies our problem. So we have ky conservation here. Okay, so now let me split this k, the wave vector, in x and y directions. So we have the wave vector which is actually kx and ky, and in zone 2 we have some k prime. Okay, so this wave vector will be different from the incident wave vector k. So let's say this is kx prime and ky prime. So now we know that ky and ky prime should be same. Only difference will be in terms of kx. Okay, so again, so if we consider that electrons have lower energy than the potential barrier, then in zone 2 we have this situation. Okay, in zone 1 anyway we know that our k is greater than 0 because our energy is greater than 0. Okay, so but in zone 2, if you consider electrons with energy lower than the potential barrier, that means E minus V0 is smaller than 0. Then the band index alpha is -1. Okay, so we have a situation where electrons are inside the valence band. So this situation is nothing but because we can create barriers only if we have absence of electrons. Means you should have a region where holes are present. So that is where you are creating a barrier. So assuming that you have created a barrier which is actually absence of electrons, it means we have holes. So now we have a situation in zone 2 when this is smaller, when energy of the incident electron is smaller than the potential barrier, or band index alpha is from this -1. Okay, so we have a situation where electrons are in the valence band. So now we can use all our derivations or all our definitions for electrons in the valence band. So we know that electrons in the valence band has a group velocity which is opposite to the momentum direction. Or if we consider that group velocity is actually the propagation direction, then we say electrons moving in the valence band. So this valence band is nothing but it is the potential barrier. So now electrons are moving in the valence band, which has a momentum which is opposite to the propagation direction. So now since ky is conserved, we say that kx prime has to be less than 0 because it is opposite. It has to be less than 0. So this is a situation where we say we have not normal refraction, but it is anomalous refraction. Because in normal refraction, we always have the same direction. Momentum and the propagation direction is same. They are in the same direction, both momentum. Okay, but here we have an opposite direction for the momentum. So that is why this is known as the anomalous refraction. So anyway, we are considering electrons with energy lower than V0. We can also consider a situation where electrons are having energy more than V0. Okay, but that will be much simpler because that will be again it's not a classically forbidden region anyway. What we are considering here is classically impossible to achieve. Okay, so this is nothing but if we have a region where electrons are free and now there is a region where there are no electrons. So this is nothing but is an NP junction. So where in N we have electrons and in P we have holes. So we have a junction. So this is what NP junction. So now let's invoke the conservation of momentum, energy and momentum. So we can, we can write the wave vectors in different, in these regions, means zones. Okay, so we have different components. We have incident wave, we have a reflected wave, and we also have transmitted wave. We assume that we have. Okay, so if that is the situation, if that is the case, then we can write this k, wave vector k, in wave vector k as kx j kyj, general. Okay, where j is nothing but, it could be an incident wave, it could be a reflected wave, or it could be a transmitted wave. Okay, so that in vector components we can write this as modulus of k cos theta j and sin theta j. This is simple vector component. Okay, so now if we use our energy equation, what is our energy equation? So this is our kinetic energy. So E kinetic energy is, suppose if this is a kinetic energy in different zones. Okay, it can have this electron can have different components also. It can be an incident, or it can be reflected, or it can be transmitted. So J represents these three cases. Okay, so now this is what the Dirac energy. So this is nothing but alpha j modulus of kj. We assume h cross vf is equal to 1. Otherwise, it is h cross alpha into h cross vf modulus of k. This is what our Dirac energy. Okay, so where j is the incident, reflected, transmitted waves. So now if you assume that your ky is conserved, so we know that ky is connected to the sin theta j. So ky is nothing but modulus of k sin theta j, and kx is modulus of k cos theta j. So now if I say my wave vector along the y direction is conserved, it is constant, so I can relate this in different zones. Okay, so if I do that, what I get here, so this is nothing but, so I can replace my alpha j kj as, so this is the, so this is modulus of kj, so this is modulus of k, different components or different waves like incident, reflected, and transmitted. We can write this as modulus of k as, again, alpha j E kinetic energy of j. Okay, so we can substitute for kj. So this is the ky j is modulus of k. If I specifically write ky of j is modulus of kj, modulus of kj into sin theta j. So I am now replacing this modulus of kj with this one, alpha j E kinetic energy j into sin theta j. So this is what my ky. Okay, because I could easily relate this one because of the conservation. So now let's see what are the different possibilities in different waves. Okay, so for example, if it is, so this j is related to incident wave, reflected wave, or transmitted wave. So we know for incident wave, the alpha j is nothing but +1. Okay, so let me show you one more time. So we have this incident wave, and this is the reflected wave, and there is a transmitted wave. Okay, so now we are relating actually the wave vectors along the y direction. So this is the alpha j. So we have these two are in the zone, in zone 1. So we have alpha j plus 1 and plus 1 again for the reflected wave. And for the transmitted wave, because we are in zone 2, alpha j is minus 1. And for kinetic energy, the incident wave is positive, yes, is greater than 0. And for reflected also is greater than 0. And what about transmitted? If we assume like E is smaller than V0, then this is actually the kinetic energy is E minus V0, that is less than 0. Okay, so we have kind of negative kinetic energies. So now the angles.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello?
Hi, sir. This is Chaitra. Sir,
I can't hear you. Your voice is not audible.
hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, how is this Kj equaling alpha j k energy kinetic j? Because they from the equation E kinetic j is equal to alpha j kj, right?
So this is plus or minus 1, no? This is plus or minus 1.
Yes.
Alpha can take plus or minus 1. So then you can bring this one equal to this side.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's plus minus 1, no? So
Okay.
you understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, if I have minus 1 here, alpha is minus 1.
Okay.
It's equally writing like minus modulus of kj is equal to minus of E kinetic energy of j.
Okay.
Okay. So the angles, okay. So angles, the theta j for different waves, okay. For incident, we know that it is phi. For reflected, let us put this as theta r. We'll try to find this. And for transmitted, we will assign as theta t. Okay, theta t means is a transmitted angle. The angle at which the electrons are transmitted, theta t. So theta r is the angle at which the waves are reflected. Okay, so we have the information of the incident angle, this is for sure. So we have to find theta r and theta t. So we are using again the conservation along the y direction, momentum conservation along the y direction. So we say that ky for the incident wave is equal to ky for the reflected wave. Okay, momentum along the y direction is conserved, so we can actually relate. So now if I do that, what I get, so I related this one, so I know that this one is mine, my alpha j is plus 1 for both. My alpha j is plus 1 and this one is also greater than 0. So now what I have is sine theta j. So I have ky incident that is proportional to sine theta incident. Okay, so now if you see, so now this one is, so what is the reflected wave vector kr? So that is nothing but minus kx and ky. Okay, so we have minus in the kx. So now if you equate this one, so sine theta I, sine theta, instead of sine theta I will write as sine phi. So here I have sine phi, and on the right hand side I have sine theta r. Okay, so now to satisfy this, either I can have theta r is equal to phi, but then this cannot be negative, isn't it? So if this has to be negative, then this has to be pi minus phi. Okay, because sine pi minus phi is what? No, not the sine phi, sorry, cos pi minus phi, because along the x direction, kx, along the kx, we have the cos, isn't it? So cos pi minus phi is minus cos phi. Yeah. So that is why we have this angle for theta r to satisfy both. Okay. So theta r is equal to pi minus phi. So now let's go to the incident and transmitted. So we are trying to equate the incident wave vector along the y direction with the transmitted wave vector along the y direction. So this we can simply write as, because this is incident one, so we write as E sine phi, because theta j is phi. And now alpha is what? Is minus 1. So that is why minus 1, and my kinetic energy is E minus V0. Okay. And I simply write as sine theta t. I don't know what is the value of theta t. So this is very interesting actually, because see, if you compare with optics, it looks like we have negative index of refraction. So this is actually similar to optics equation, that is Snell-Descartes equation. Okay, I think many of you know what is Snell. It is Snell's law. People say it is Snell-Descartes equation or law, because Descartes lately contributed. Okay, so you might have learned like Snell's law. So this is very similar actually. N1 sine theta 1 is equal to N2 sine theta 2. Only difference is we have a negative sign here. So it seems like we have negative index of refraction. These electrons are behaving like some photons, but with some negative index of refraction. This is very interesting, isn't it? Because then we can think of something like collimating electrons. Electrons are behaving like photons. So the action is similar to lens. We have kind of electron lens. I hope this is clear to you. So now let's compare this one and find theta t. Okay. So anyway, we have a negative sign here. We say that if you compare with this equation, that's Snell-Descartes law or equation, that is N1 sine theta 1 is equal to N2 sine theta 2. So definitely we have a negative sign here, and this is known as the negative refractive index equation. Okay, so this is actually seen in metamaterials. You can artificially create these materials which has a negative refractive index. Okay, I'll come to that, what it means actually physically, what it means, but you already might have got a hint from here, this figure. Okay, so you see the wave vector is positive here, k is greater than 0. This is also, so now if you see this, this is actually opposite. Okay, we will come to that, why this is opposite. Because you can also connect with the electrons in the valence band. So then your propagation direction, which is determined by the group velocity, and that is actually opposite to the momentum direction. So obviously, if you consider your propagation direction or group velocity direction as the positive, then the momentum has to be opposite. So that makes sense, because our momentum is opposite to the direction of propagation. So that is what we are getting actually. So we are, naturally we are getting this equation without imposing any conditions. Okay, because electrons inside the valence band has a very unusual behavior. So they have an opposite, they have a momentum which is opposed to the group velocity. So now here, if I simply compare this Snell's equation, I can think of theta t. So how do I get, I know that this is anyway, E minus V0 is anyway negative. Okay. I'm not worried about this one. How can I get this minus sign in sine theta t? I can get this minus sign in sine theta t if I set some angle theta 2, okay, theta 2 as equal to theta t minus pi. So that means sine theta, so theta, so I'm comparing with this one, n1 sine theta 1 is equal to n2 sine theta 2. Okay. So I said I have some negative index of refraction. So for example, this E minus V0 is actually negative. So if I say I have some negative refractive index, so if I say this is my kind of refractive index by comparing with this equation, because I have nothing else here, isn't it? So my refractive index here should be proportional to the energy, kinetic energy. And then N2 should be proportional to the kinetic energy inside the barrier. So that is nothing but E minus V0. But I know that E minus V0 is negative. So let's say this is my N2, proportional to N2, or N2 is proportional to E minus V0. Okay. So if I say that, so my N1 is proportional to E and N2 is proportional to E minus V0. So now what is the possible value for this if I compare with this? So my theta 1 is nothing but phi. Theta 1 is phi. And what is theta 2? The theta 2 has to have this one also, minus. So my theta 2 I can imagine like if I simply replace sine theta t minus pi. Sine pi minus theta t is nothing but it's again sine theta t. But if I say I have sine theta t minus pi, then this comes out to be sine theta 2, which is negative. Okay. So that is what I'm saying here. So when all the angles are normal to the interface, that's what you have to. So we define the angles all normal to the interface. Okay. So this is what we have now. So we have a situation by comparing with this standard Snell-Descartes equation, we say our E is proportional to N1, or refractive index N1 is proportional to E and N2 is proportional to E minus V0, which is nothing but the kinetic energy. Okay, and N2 is less than 0 because energy is lower than V0. So now, yeah, again we can actually simplify this. So ultimately, what is that? Why do we get this negative, refractive index? So this is connected to the Dirac Hamiltonian. So in the first case, N1 is proportional E, our alpha is positive. Okay, alpha is positive, but in the second case, N2 case, we have a situation where alpha is lower than 0, means minus 1, sorry, it's minus 1. So in the case of N2, we have alpha is minus 1. That is why your N2 is lower than 0. Okay. So we can also say in a way that kinetic energy is related to the momentum, because these are all constants. So it's related to the direction of the momentum. Okay. Or this is a direction, this is the phase velocity. So we have group velocity and phase velocity. So the phase velocity here in two zones, zone 1 and zone 2, actually changes. It changes sign. The wave vector, its the model, the direction of the wave vector, okay, it changes from zone 1 to zone 2 because all these are constants. So this kinetic energy is actually positive in the case of N1 and the kinetic energy is negative in the case of zone 2. So we say the wave vector actually changes the sign. So that is what you see in the figure. The wave vector actually changes from positive to negative. Okay. So that is why we say this refraction is anomalous. So if you look at the wave vectors, you see this KT. I mean, this is the transmitted wave vector, which is actually close to the reflected wave vector. Okay, not related to the, not close to the incident wave vector. So in a way, this is actually the transmitted wave vector is close in direction to the KR, the reflected wave vector. So, okay, so we are here. So this is what we say, this is anomalous refraction, and this is actually very unusual. So let's compare this with optics. Okay, so far we were discussing about electron optics. Let's discuss the photon optics. Okay, so we understood anyway that we can have a similar situation with electrons. This is also very important because electrons in graphene is similar to photons. So obviously we expect that this, behavior should be there actually, this negative index of refraction. But experimentally, is it possible to achieve? That is the question. Okay. Let's at least try to understand how does this, for example, I said N1 is proportional energy, N2 is proportional to E minus V0. Let's try to make sense. Okay. So we have the definition of refractive index, that is N is equal to C by V, where C is the velocity of light in vacuum and V is the velocity of light in a medium. Okay, any medium. So we know that velocity of light reduces, velocity of light reduces in a medium. Okay, so we say this is V. So this is what the refractive index is about. Okay, so refractive is nothing but what is the reduction. So that gives an idea. So for example, if it is simply vacuum or in vacuum, so we say we have N is equal to 1 because V is equal to C. The speed of light in vacuum is C. Okay, so we have N is equal to 1. So if you have any N which is greater than 1, then we say that actually the medium is refracting. Okay, so N is greater than 1. So medium is refracting. So we can also say, because C is a constant, speed of light in vacuum is a constant, which is 3 × 10⁸ meter per second. We say N is inversely proportional to the velocity of light in a medium. Okay, so now we can relate this one to the energy of the photons. So for example, we know what is the photon kinetic energy. If you take the rest mass of photon as 0, then we have this energy for the photons. Because rest mass of photon is 0, then we have H cross C K0. K0 is the wave vector for the incident photons or wave vector in vacuum. So that is equal to, because energy remains same. Okay, energy remains same. So we say H cross C K0. That is equal to H cross V in a medium into K. So now we know C by V is nothing but N. So N is K by K0. Okay, N is K by K0. So now you can say that this n, the refractive index, is actually related to the wave vector, okay, in vacuum and in a medium. So that's the ratio gives the refractive index. So now if any of this, so anyway, this is, suppose this is positive and this is negative, k is negative, then we say this is actually giving a negative refractive index. Okay, this has to be in opposite directions, k and k0, that has to be in opposite direction. So metamaterials, okay, these are materials which are artificially created with a periodicity of like 10 nanometer. Okay, it should be much smaller than the wavelength. So this is what the metamaterials. So they can actually focus. So they can actually focus in the same direction. Focusing is something which you do in the same plane. So this actually metamaterials actually can create, or they are actually similar to what electron is doing in the case of graphene junctions, PN junctions. All right. Do you have any questions? Is everything clear? Okay, let's go to the. So we'll take some examples also, experimental data also, to discuss this more. Okay, but actually this is interesting because we can actually realize all these things experimentally, especially with graphene. Metamaterials actually is not that easy to create because you need to have very small structures, something like 10 nanometer, 10 to 20 nanometers. But in the case of graphene, because of the small effective mass, the Fermi wavelength, which is related to Fermi wavelength, we can have large Fermi wavelengths, and then we can have structures smaller than this. So I mentioned to you the top gate. So now, the last lecture I mentioned that your W, that is actually the width of the junction. W decides the how sharp or smooth the junction is. So now the W depends on the thickness of the top gate. Typically, if you take oxide, silicon dioxide, hafnium oxide, it's very hard to create high quality thin oxides. But with the emergence of 2D materials, either dielectric 2D materials like HBN, hexagonal boron nitride, you can have very thin dielectrics. Like 10 nanometer HBN can act as the top gate. So in many of the experiments, you will see that they have used natural crystals, HBN crystals, as the top gate, because you can reduce the thickness with high quality oxide as the top gate. So this actually made, all the physics, all the tunneling phenomenon, can be tested. So this has been tested by several articles. So we'll discuss that. Okay, so for the timing, let's actually finish this, and then we'll go to the actual experimental data. But I'm sure this information is very important because then you can appreciate the experimental data. So now let me continue from here. So we understood everything about the electron, the transmission. We understood like the electrons are behaving like photons, and it has kind of negative index of refraction. Okay, so this actually makes us, to construct electron lenses. So now let me also find what is the reflection and transmission amplitudes. Also the transmission probabilities, transmission reflection probabilities across the interface. So how do we find this? Obviously we can find this by writing the wave function explicitly in different sounds. So we know what is the free electron wave function with respect to the Dirac, with respect to the hexagonal lattice. So we know that this is what we have. We have e raised to I k dot r 1 alpha e raised to I phi. Okay. So this is what, so if I assume like phi is my incident angle, I can the wave function in zone 1, because in zone 1 I have incident wave and a reflected wave. So how do I write? I can write this as the linear combination of these two wave functions. Psi 1 is, combination of these two waves. So this is what the incident wave, that is e raised to I k y y, or this is nothing but e raised to I k dot r into 1. Now alpha is plus 1, so e raised to I phi, plus we have reflection amplitude. So this is the reflection amplitude r. So then again we have e raised to I k y y, ky is positive, and then we have here minus kx. So this is now e raised to minus I kxx x. Then what is our reflected angle? Theta r is minus pi minus phi. So I have written like, again alpha is plus 1 e raised to I pi minus phi. So this is what my wave function in zone 1. Okay, and where r is the reflection amplitude. So now in wave function in zone 2, in a class, so wave function in zone 2, okay, so we have only transmitted component. So side 2 is, this is the amplitude e raised to I k y y. Now we have kx prime, okay, ky remains same, but we have it, instead of kx we have kx prime. That we said it is actually negative, it is less than 0. Let's put kx prime x, and then we have 1 and alpha is minus 1 and theta t is our angle. Okay, so it is minus e raised to I theta t. So now let's, and t is the transmission amplitude. So this is the transmission amplitude and r is the reflection amplitude. So now we can use the continuity of the wave function at x equals 0, which is the boundary, okay, which is the barrier position. So x equals 0. So we have, so if you try to substitute, because everything is at x equals 0, so this x equals 0. So we have to substitute for x equals 0. So if you substitute it, then we have one of the row from here. We can equate the row. Then what we write is, so this is actually 1, and kyy just cancels because both sides we have the same phase factor e raised to I kyy we have in psi 1 and psi 2. So this cancels. This one is 1, okay, because x equals 0. This is also 1. So what we have is 1 e raised to I phi plus r into, this is also 1 e raised to I pi minus phi equal to t into 1 minus e raised to I theta t. So if I now relate this one, 1 plus r equal to t. So 1 plus r is equal to t, or 1 is equal to minus r plus t. Okay. And the other one is e raised to I phi plus r into e raised to I pi minus phi. that is equal to t into or minus t into e raised to I theta t. So now I can rewrite this e raised to I pi minus phi as something like this. Okay, you just work it out. So you can rewrite this as minus e raised to minus I phi. So if I substitute that, I have minus, that minus I can take it to the right side. So then I have e raised to I phi r into e raised to minus I phi minus t e raised to minus I theta t. Okay, now you can solve. You can solve these equations 4 and 5, and you can find your reflection amplitude and transmission amplitude. Okay, you can find the reflection and transmission amplitude. So now what we need to find is the transmission probabilities, which is actually the modulus of the square of the modulus of the amplitudes. Okay, so for that what we can use is this one. So where the 1D current is conserved. So we already have this. We already derived this one, that our current is conserved along the x direction. So this is constant. So now we can relate the x component of the current. So Jx incident plus Jx reflected, that is equal to Jx transmitted. It's a conservation of current. So now you can write. So now what is J? J is related to the group velocity. So it is actually related to the group velocity. Charge into group velocity. So now group velocity is related to what? Group velocity related to alpha into k divided by modulus of k. So it is actually related to the direction of the wave vector and alpha also. So now we know what is alpha in different regimes. So we can actually substitute this. So this is modulus of k into cos phi, the x component of k. Okay, plus k into modulus of r square. So this is the angle of the reflected wave vector. Okay, angle at which the wave is reflected. The cos pi minus phi. So it's all x components. Okay. That is equal to modulus of k into, again, modulus of t square cos, and what is our angle? Our angle is so you should also see the angle, the direction, the direction of current. So this is theta 2, cos theta 2. So that is nothing but theta t minus pi. Okay. So theta t. So that is what we have. Where is theta t? Yeah. So this is theta 2 is nothing but theta t minus pi. So now you can solve this because modulus of k cancels. And this is nothing but minus of cos pi minus theta t. So that is actually something missing here. This is cos phi, it's fine. Modulus k is eliminated. So we have cos phi, and this is cos pi minus phi. So this is in the second quadrant. So that is actually minus cos phi. Yes. Then, yeah. So if you write this one as cos pi minus phi theta t, no problem. The cos of minus x is cos x. But since this is in the second quadrant, cos is negative. So cos pi minus theta t is nothing but minus cos theta t. Okay. So we have now, you can, cos phi is there as common in the LHS. Okay. So we take cos phi to this side. So we have 1 is equal to, or 1 minus modulus of r square is equal to minus modulus of t whole square cos theta t divided by cos phi. So I can just rearrange this. Okay. So now we know the 1 is equal to r plus t, where r is the reflection probability and t is the transmission probability. Okay. It's actually strange because reflection is related to modulus r square, but t, transmission amplitude, transmission probability is not simply modulus of t square, but this is what the relation, cos theta t divided by cos phi. So now, so we have the, so these are the reflection transmission probabilities. So now let's find something more. Okay. So if you substitute, so we have now, we already know this modulus of r and modulus of t. We can even substitute. We have the equations. Where is the, these are the equations. See, we have r and we have t. So modulus of r square means r into r star, r into r complex. So you have to substitute for this one, and then you simplify. What you get is this one, t is minus cos phi cos theta t divided by sine square phi plus theta t by 2. Okay, and you will get r also. So now let's see, the electron is incident normally. If you assume normally incident electrons, so then phi is 0. If phi is 0, what do you get here? So this cos phi is 1, and then here we have only cos theta t, and then we have sine square theta t by 2. So this is what we have. Okay. So now you can simplify this. So we don't know what is theta t, isn't it? But at least with comparison with n1 sin theta 1 is equal to n2 sin theta 2. If you see, like, theta 1 is equal to 0, this 0, and theta 1 equal to 0 means theta 2 has to be 0. So theta 2 is 0. That means theta 2 is nothing but pi minus theta t. Okay. So we can say theta t is pi. So now theta t is pi for normal incidence. If the electron is incident normally, theta t is pi. So if you substitute theta t is equal to pi, this is cos pi. Cos pi is minus 1. And then this one is sine square pi by 2. So this is also 1. So what we get is transmission amplitude, transmission probability is, or transmission coefficient is equal to 1. So we have 100% transmittance. Okay. So we get this one because we also already understood that this is because of the conservation of pseudospin, or it's because of the helicity or chirality, that we are getting a transmission coefficient of 1. Okay. So through equations also you can get all these things, because we have actually compared with the standard optics equations. N1 sin theta 1 is equal to N2 sin theta 2. Okay. Yeah. So we are almost finished this part. We'll continue some of the, so this is actually potential step, sharp potential step. We will also, because now I hope this will be much easier for you, because we understood how to get the transmission and reflection probabilities or coefficients. So this is the way. So you have to match the wave functions in zone 1 and zone 2. I mean different zones. And you can use the conservation of current also. So these two, you don't have to use the first derivative of the wave function. You can simply use the wave function at wave function matching at the interfaces. For example, if you have barrier, then you have to match the wave function at zone 1 and zone 2, and also at the zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. So you have to match the wave functions and also get the reflection coefficients, reflection amplitude, reflection and transmission amplitudes by invoking the conservation of currents. Okay, conservation of currents. So these two, if you use, you can find the corresponding probabilities, corresponding coefficients. So this is actually, everything is similar, very similar actually. Whatever I have explained, you have to follow same way. Okay. Do you have any questions? If not, then I can just show you some of, I think I have shared you, I have shared with you the papers, some of the papers. So this is what we were discussing, isn't it? So this has been published in Nature Physics 2015. See, the title is Observation of Negative Refraction of Dirac Fermions in Graphene. Okay. So this is where the actual experimental data is there. Okay. So you can see, I mean, these are the same kind of notations. So we have a group velocity. If this electron in the conduction band, we have a positive group velocity. But if we have a group, if we have hole, okay, if you have a hole in the valence band, it is actually opposite. Okay. So this is actually coming from the simple definition of the group velocity, because d by dh cross, d by dk, I mean 1 by h cross d by dk, that's a group velocity. So it's all about the phase velocity and group velocity. What is the, whether they are parallel or anti-parallel. So in one region, in one zone, we have a parallel velocity, and the other one we have anti-parallel. Okay, that is why it is anomalous. So you can see here. So this is actually one NP. This is what we exactly we discussed. So we have NP sharp junction. So you see, this is the group velocity direction. Your incident direction is, the wave vector direction is along this. Whereas the reflected or refracted, these are refracted wave vector, which is actually opposite to the group velocity. Okay, and this is considered to be the theta r. This refracted, the angle of refraction. So this angle of incidence and this angle of refraction. This angle is with respect to the normal to the interface. So these are normal. So this angle is with respect to the normal. So now, how do we realize this? See, we have metamaterials, okay, in optics. So this is what the metamaterials is called, negative refractive index. So we need to have structures of the order of 10 nanometer. Okay. So that is very difficult actually in optics. But here in graphene, fortunately, because of the high mobilities or small effective mass, because scattering is very less, we don't have any scattering at all. If you don't have any point defects, we don't have any scattering, we don't have any back scattering. Okay, so our mobility of the carriers in graphene is very high. So we say, instead of diffusive scattering, okay, typical scattering is like electron can scatter with defects with lattice or with another electron. So these are several possibilities. Okay. So now if the electron scatter in a normal way, so this is called the diffusive scattering. But there is something else called ballistic transport. So this happens if the mean free path. So you can estimate mean free path is nothing but it is the distance between the subsequent collisions. So electrons, a forward moving electron undergo collisions or scattering. Okay. So the distance between the subsequent or consecutive collisions. So that is known as the mean free path. So now if this mean free path, the mean free path is much larger than the dimension of the sample. Okay. Dimension of the sample, then we say the transport is ballistic. The transport is ballistic. So there are no scattering. So there is no diffusive scattering. We only have ballistic scattering. So this actually, the mean free path in graphene is very large because we don't have any scattering. Okay. So this is possible because we have a ballistic transport. We don't have much scattering in graphene. We can make our Fermi wavelength large. Okay, Fermi wavelength large. So we have a situation much better than optics. Okay, so this is an example where they created top gate and back gate. Back gate is already there. So this is actually, so this orange at the corners, they are chrome gold contacts. Okay, chromium and gold contact. So these four at the four corners, and we have a top gate. Okay, so top gate, I mentioned to you that to reduce the thickness, if you want to have sharp junction, you should make your W small. Okay, otherwise you will end up with smooth junctions. Whatever we are discussing here is for sharp junctions. Okay, so then only you can have this normal incidence conditions. Only then you can have, if you have sharp junction, then only then you can have normal incidence. Okay, so this is actually a top gate which is nothing but HBN crystals. So something like they have used around 14 nanometer thick HBN crystal. Okay, so this is a dielectric. You know that HBN is a very good dielectric. This band gap is very high, something like 6, if I remember it's 6. Yeah, maybe, I am not sure. Yeah, but anyway, it's very high. Okay, yeah, it's very high actually, and it's a very good dielectric. The beauty is that because of the exfoliation, you can have very thin dielectric. Okay, without any defect, you can have high quality dielectric, which can be used as a top gate. And then after the dielectric, on top of the dielectric, you have chromium gold contact. Okay, so what we have is, we mentioned that if you want to improve the mobility of graphene particles or particles in graphene, then graphene on BN is the best substrate because there are less charged impurities. I told you that if you have defects or impurities, then you can your mobility is going to be very low. So to have high mobility transistors, graphene is typically placed on top of boron nitride. Okay. And even here boron nitride is also used as a top gate, but in many cases boron nitride encapsulation, if you encapsulate graphene with boron nitride, that also actually helps, because then there is no doping from the atmosphere. If you just expose graphene to atmosphere, then there can be unintentional doping. So doping means some molecules, for example oxygen, nitrogen, they can attach and there can be charge transfer. Okay, typically they lead to hole doping. So they take electrons from graphene and that create hole doping. Right? So just to avoid that, in many cases, if you have the facility, graphene is encapsulated with a boron nitride layer, a thin crystal of boron nitride. That actually helps. So now this boron nitride can not only encapsulate but also act as the top gate. So you have back gate and top gate, both can actually tune the Fermi level and you can create PN junctions. Okay. So I have sent you this paper, you read. Next day I'm going to discuss this in detail. So I want you to go through this paper. Okay. Then we will discuss some of the points, experimental data. But whatever the theoretical derivations or understanding we have, that will be very useful for this one. Okay. So you can, in summary, you can create PN junctions by using top and bottom gate. Okay. So this is not very, I should say this is not very evident. For example, the resistance change or the current. So you can monitor current at different locations. For example, here. So this is acting like a lens. So you shoot electrons from this side, you bias it, you shoot electrons from this contact, and you try to collect somewhere here. So this is like a lens. You shoot, and then the electrons are, the electron trajectories are controlled by the gate, and you have a PN junction, and this experiences a barrier, and these electrons are coming out with some other a different wave vector. Okay. So it undergoes negative refraction. So you can actually take out the electrons. You can focus the electrons and take out the electrons through, for example, contact 2. So this looks like a lens. Okay. So this is also known as the Veselago lens. The Russian scientist who first proposed that you can actually have negative refraction in electrons. In fermions, you can have negative refraction, just like the photons. Okay, so this is a Veselago lens. This schematic. So this is an SEM image of the device. So this is a schematic. This is the SEM image. Okay. Yeah, please go through this paper, then we will discuss in the next class. So more or less I have covered. So in next 2 lectures, I think I am hoping to finish the PN junction, Veselago lens, Klein tunneling. So I think I have given you a good introduction. You can actually build up. So your first reading material, critical reading will be on this. So since you are not sending anything, you are not making any group, I will make a group of 3 people. Okay, based on your maybe roll number. And then, so we have 17, 18 people. the class? 17 or 18, I don't remember. Yeah. So then it will be 6 groups. Okay. So these 6 groups will have 6 papers. I will soon share with you the papers. Then you can, maybe you can take 1 week. So I am sure some of the group members may not be very active, may not actively participate. So how do I evaluate? So obviously in the Viva session, I'll ask questions based on this critical reading. So that means all of the group members has to really read and understand the material. Hope that is clear. Okay, do you have any questions? I'm done for today. Do you have any questions? If not, then we can sign off. Okay, then bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.